The cargo bay of Horizon's 7 mining stations smelled like fear and recycled air. 200 beings stood packed together under the harsh white lights. Humans, Andari merchants with their blue skin, pellucid workers who looked like walking crystals, and others, all of them, prisoners now. Commander Vekthar walked slowly in front of them. He was massive, nearly 8 feet tall, with dark purple armor that seemed to drink the light. His 4 yellow eyes moved across the crowd like scanner beams. Behind him, 30 Kryn soldiers stood with weapons ready. The weapons hummed with a low, threatening sound. Tae-sun stood near the back of the group. He was a human engineer, 32 years old, with oil stains on his work clothes and tired eyes. 3 days ago, he had been fixing the station's water recyclers. Now, he was a prisoner of the Kryn Empire, the most powerful force in known space. Vekthar stopped walking. His mandibles clicked together twice. The translator devices everyone wore made his words clear in dozens of languages. I am Commander Vekthar of the Kryn Empire. This station now belongs to us. Your governments, your companies, your pathetic defense forces have abandoned you. You are alone. Nobody spoke. The only sound was the breathing of 200 terrified beings. The Kryn Empire has conquered 347 species across 3,000 years, Vekthar continued. His voice was cold and calm, like he was reading a technical manual. We have claimed 412 worlds. We have never lost a war. We have never retreated. We have never failed. Well, whine. Whine. An Andari merchant near the front made a small, sobbing sound. One of the Kryn soldiers moved toward him. The merchant went silent immediately. There is a tradition, Vekthar said. When we conquer a new place, when we take new prisoners, we require a simple act, a gesture of acceptance. You will kneel. All of you. You will kneel to show that you understand your position. You will kneel to show respect to the Kryn Empire. You will kneel because we command it. He paused. His 4 eyes swept across them again. Those who refuse will be executed. Immediately. For a moment, nobody moved. Then a pellucid worker near the front dropped to her knees. The crystal-like structure of her legs made a soft chiming sound as they hit the floor. Then another prisoner knelt. Then 10 more. The sound of knees hitting metal filled the cargo bay. Humans, aliens, young and old. They all went down. Some cried. Some kept their faces blank. Some looked angry but scared. They all knelt. Tae-sun watched them go down one by one. He thought about his sister Ji-won. She had died 6 months ago defending a colony called New Seoul from a Kryn raid. She had been a defense force pilot. Her last message said she wouldn't run. She said running just meant dying tired. He thought about Hana, his partner. The Kryn had taken her from a transport ship 2 months ago. He didn't know if she was alive. He didn't know where she was. But he knew she wouldn't kneel. She had too much fire in her. Around him, the last few people were going down. An old human woman to his left. A young Andari male to his right. A human engineer he knew named Bo-Ra, who worked in communications. She looked at him before she knelt, her eyes full of apology. Then everyone was down. Everyone except Tae-sun. He stood with his arms crossed. His legs felt like iron posts. His heart pounded, but his body didn't shake. He looked straight ahead at Commander Vekthar. The cargo bay went completely silent. The kind of silence that feels heavy, like water pressure in your ears. 200 beings stared at Tae-sun. The Kryn soldiers turned to look at him. Their weapons tracked toward him. Vekthar's mandibles went very still. Then they started clicking rapidly. It might have been surprise. It might have been anger. With aliens, it was hard to tell. The commander walked toward Tae-sun. His boots made heavy sounds on the metal floor. Each step seemed to take forever. He stopped 3 feet away, towering over the human engineer. You, Vecthar said. His voice was quieter now but somehow more dangerous. You did not kneel. No, Tae-sun said. His voice came out steady. He was proud of that. You are human. Yes, humans are a young species. You achieved faster than light travel only 60 years ago. You have 7 colony worlds. Your largest warship is smaller than my personal transport, and yet you stand while species with 10,000 years of history kneel around you. Tae-sun didn't respond. What could he say to that? Are you stupid? Vecthar asked. Do you not understand the situation? I understand it perfectly, Tae-sun said. Then you choose death? I choose not to kneel. One of the Kryn soldiers moved forward, raising his weapon. Vecthar held up one clawed hand. The soldier stopped. Why? The commander asked. Just that one word. Tae-sun took a breath. Because I kneel for no one. Not you. Not any emperor or commander or god. My sister died standing up. My partner was taken, fighting back. If I'm going to die today, I'll die the same way. Noble words, Vecthar said. But foolish. You could live. All of you could live. All I ask is one simple gesture. It's not simple, Tae-sun said. Once you kneel, they own you. Once you show you'll submit, they know they can make you do anything. My species has a long history of tyrants and emperors and conquerors. You know what we learned? They all fall eventually. Every single one. Because there's always someone who refuses to kneel. Vecthar was quiet for a long moment. His 4 eyes studied Tae-sun like he was an interesting machine with unknown functions. I have conquered species with weapons that could vaporize planets, the commander said slowly. I have defeated cultures that had been spacefaring since before your ancestors learned to make fire. Warriors who could tear you apart with their bare appendages knelt before me. Hive minds with billions of drones surrendered to Kryn authority. What makes you think you are special? I don't think I'm special, Tae-sun said. I just think I'm right. Another long silence. Bo-Ra, still kneeling nearby, watched with wide eyes. Some of the other prisoners were crying quietly. They thought they were watching Tae-sun's last moments. Then Vecthar did something unexpected. He laughed. It was a strange sound. More like grinding metal than humor. But it was definitely a laugh. Interesting, he said. Very interesting. You are either the bravest being I have ever met, or the most foolish. Perhaps both. He turned and walked a few steps away, then looked back. I will not kill you today, human. Not yet. I want to understand this. I want to know if your defiance is courage or insanity. He gestured to his soldiers. Take him to holding cell 7. Keep him separated from the others. Give him food and water. Then he addressed the kneeling crowd. The rest of you may stand. Return to your quarters. You will not be harmed today. But remember this moment. Remember what obedience looks like, and what defiance costs. Endeavor. As 2 Kryn soldiers grabbed Tae-sun's arms, Vecthar walked close to him one more time. Tomorrow, human, we will talk. And after we talk, you will either kneel voluntarily, or I will stack your corpse with all the other fools who thought they were special. Do you understand? Tae-sun met his eyes. I understand. My answer will be the same. The commander's mandibles clicked again. Then he turned and walked away. They dragged Tae-sun out of the cargo bay. Behind him, 200 beings slowly got to their feet, their legs shaking, their minds trying to process what they had just seen. One human had stood when everyone else knelt. And somehow, he was still alive. Holding cell 7 was a small room with gray walls, a narrow bed, and a toilet. One dim light in the ceiling. No windows. The door was solid metal with no handle on the inside. Tae-sun sat on the bed and waited. His hands were shaking now. They hadn't shaken in the cargo bay, but they were shaking now. The adrenaline was wearing off, and reality was setting in. He had just defied an alien commander in front of 200 witnesses. He should be dead. Why wasn't he dead? The door opened 6 hours later. 2 guards came in first, weapons ready. Then, Vekthar entered. The room suddenly felt much smaller. "Leave us," the commander said to his guards. They looked uncertain but obeyed. The door closed. Vekthar stood there, studying Tae-sun. The human stayed sitting on the bed. If the alien wanted him to stand at attention, he could ask. Tae-sun was done with gestures of submission. "You are calm," Vekthar observed. "I'm terrified," Tae-sun said honestly. "But I'm good at not showing it. I appreciate honesty." The commander moved to lean against the wall opposite the bed. "I have been a military officer for 34 years. I have participated in 17 planetary conquests. I have personally accepted the surrender of 42 enemy commanders. I have never had anyone refuse to kneel. There's a first time for everything." "Why?" Vekthar asked. The same question as before, but his tone was different now. Less threatening, more genuinely curious. "Why choose death over a simple gesture? Your gods do not care. Your government cannot see you. Your fellow prisoners already submitted. What do you gain by defying me?" Tae-sun thought about how to answer. "Do you know human history? Some. We study all species we intend to conquer. Yours is particularly violent. You have fought countless wars among yourselves. Over resources, ideology, religion, territory. You have committed terrible acts against your own kind." "That's true," Tae-sun agreed. "We're not perfect. We're actually pretty terrible sometimes. But you know what else our history shows? No empire lasts forever. The Romans thought they would rule the world forever. They didn't. The Mongols conquered more territory than anyone before them. They fell. The British Empire covered a quarter of Earth. It collapsed. Every tyrant, every dictator, every conqueror who demanded people bow down eventually ended up in the dirt themselves. The Kryn Empire has lasted 3,000 years, Vekthar said. That's impressive, Tae-sun admitted. But it's not forever. Nothing is forever. And the thing that brings down empires isn't usually another empire. It's people like me. People who refuse to accept that might makes right. People who stand up, even when it seems stupid and suicidal. Vekthar was quiet for a moment. You speak of tyrants and dictators. The Kryn Empire is not evil. We bring order to chaos. We unite fragmented species under one banner. We end wars by winning them permanently. That's what they all say. Tae-sun replied. Every conqueror in history claimed they were bringing peace and order. But here's the thing. Peace through conquest isn't peace. It's just delayed violence. And order through fear isn't order. It's just waiting for the rebellion to start. You think you can rebel against us? There was no anger in Vekthar's voice. Just curiosity. Me personally? No. I'm an engineer, not a soldier. I fix water recyclers and air processors. But humanity? Yes. We'll rebel. We'll fight. We'll lose a lot. We'll die in huge numbers. But we won't stop. Because that's what we do. We're stubborn and stupid, and we never learn when to quit. The commander's mandibles clicked slowly. I have studied your military history, your tactics, your strategies. You are clever in warfare, more creative than most species. But creativity does not defeat overwhelming force, doesn't it? Tae-sun asked. Look at your own records. You said you've conquered 347 species. How many of them still resist? How many rebellions do you put down every year? How much of your military strength is dedicated to holding what you've taken, instead of taking new territory? Vekthar didn't answer immediately. That silence told Tae-sun he was right. You are more observant than I expected. The commander finally said. Yes. We face resistance. We always have, but we always win. Until you don't. Another silence. Then Vekthar moved away from the wall. He paced the small room, his footsteps heavy. I am going to tell you something that could get me executed for treason, he said. The Empire is not as strong as it pretends to be. We are stretched thin. We conquer because conquest is our culture, our identity. But every new conquest requires more soldiers, more ships, more resources to hold. We are like a creature that must keep eating or it will starve. But every meal makes it hungrier. Tae-sun was surprised by this admission. Why are you telling me this? Because I want to understand something. Your species fascinates me. You have been spacefaring for only 60 years. You have minimal territory. Your technology is primitive compared to ours. You should be easy to conquer. But your files show something different. Every battle we fight against humans, you find new tactics, new strategies. You learn faster than any species we have encountered. You adapt. We're stubborn, Tae-sun said again. It is more than stubbornness. It is something in your culture. Something that makes you resistant to domination. Vekthar stopped pacing and looked directly at him. I need to understand it. So, I am going to make you an offer. An offer? Yes. I will give you 3 trials. 3 tests. They will be difficult. They may kill you. But if you succeed in even one of them, I will release all the prisoners from this station. Every human, every alien. Free to go. Tae-sun's heart jumped. And if I fail? If you fail all 3 trials, you will kneel. Voluntarily. In front of all the prisoners. And then, I will execute 10 of them. Random selection. To show the cost of defiance. That's not fair. Why should others die for my choice? Because that is what leadership means. Vekthar said. You chose to stand. You chose to be a symbol. Symbols have power, but they also have responsibility. If you want to inspire others, you must also bear the consequences when you fail. Tae-sun felt sick. He had been ready to die himself, but getting others killed? That was different. That was worse. Why are you doing this? He asked. Just shoot me and be done with it. Because I am curious. Vekthar said simply. Because in 34 years of military service, I have never met anyone like you. Because I want to know if your defiance is based on something real or if it is just empty pride. And because I suspect the answer will be important for the war that is coming between our species. What kind of trials? You will see tomorrow. But I will tell you this. They are designed to test 3 things. Your body, your mind, your spirit. The Kryn believe these are the 3 pillars of a warrior. If you possess even one of them in sufficient measure, you will earn the freedom of your fellow prisoners. Tae-sun thought about it. It could be a trick. It probably was a trick. But what choice did he have? And if there was even a chance to save Bo-Ra and the others, he had to take it. What about after? If I succeed in a trial and you release everyone, what happens to me? That depends on you, Vekthar said. Perhaps we continue talking. Perhaps you become useful to me in other ways. Perhaps I kill you anyway. I have not decided. You're not big on details, are you? I am a commander, not a lawyer. Do you accept the terms, or not? Tae-sun stood up from the bed. He looked Vekthar in the eyes, all 4 of them. I accept. But I want something added. If I succeed, you also give me information. I want to know where you're holding human prisoners. Specifically, a woman named Hana. She was taken from the transport ship Bright Star 2 months ago. Vekthar's mandibles clicked. Personal stakes. Interesting. Very well. If you succeed in 1 trial, I release the station prisoners. If you succeed in 2 trials, I give you the information you seek. If somehow you succeed in all 3, I will personally help you reach her. Deal. Good. The first trial begins tomorrow at dawn. Station time. Be ready. Vekthar walked to the door. It opened automatically for him. He paused and looked back. Tell me something, human. What is your name? I should know the name of someone who might change history. Tae-sun, he said. My name is Tae-sun. Tae-sun. Vecthar repeated. Rest well. Tomorrow will be difficult, and the day after even more so. By the time we are done, you will either be a legend or a cautionary tale. The door closed. Tae-sun was alone again. He sat back down on the bed and put his head in his hands. What had he just agreed to? They came for Tae-sun before dawn. The guards didn't speak. They just put restraints on his wrists and led him through the corridors of Horizon 7. The station felt different now. Darker, quieter, like a body with no soul. They brought him to the industrial sector, deep in the station's lower levels. This was where the heavy machinery lived. The mining processors, the ore refineries, the massive generators that powered everything. Tae-sun had worked down here many times. He knew these spaces. Vecthar was waiting in front of a sealed door marked with danger symbols. Warning signs in 6 languages. Behind him stood a dozen Kryn soldiers and 3 technicians working on control panels. Good morning, Tae-sun, the commander said. He almost sounded friendly. Almost. Morning. Your first trial is simple in concept. Survive for 6 hours in that chamber. Vecthar pointed at the sealed door. My engineers have modified the environment inside. Extreme heat. All toxic gases. Gravitational fluctuations. The kind of conditions my warriors train in on our home world. For your species, these conditions will be lethal within minutes, without proper equipment. And I don't get proper equipment. You get a basic environmental suit. It will help. A little. But it is not designed for the conditions we have created. The rest depends on your knowledge, your resourcefulness, and your will to live. A technician brought forward a suit. It was gray and looked old, worn, patches over patches. Tae-sun put it on over his clothes. It fit poorly. The clock starts when the door closes behind you, Vecthar said. If you survive 6 hours, you pass the trial. All station prisoners go free. If you die, well, then we move on to executions. Tae-sun sealed the helmet. The suit's internal display flickered to life. Air supply, temperature, radiation levels. All the numbers looked bad already, and he wasn't even in the chamber yet. One question, he said. His voice sounded tinny through the suit's speakers. Why? 6 hours. Because that is how long it takes for a Kryn warrior to prove their strength. Any less would be insulting to both of us. The door opened. Heat blasted out like an explosion. Tae-sun took a breath and walked in. The door sealed behind him with a heavy sound. He was alone. The chamber was huge. It had been a processing facility once. Now, it was hell. The air shimmered with heat. Red emergency lights gave everything a bloody color. He could hear gases hissing from vents. His suit immediately started beeping warnings. Temperature outside suit, 180 degrees. Toxic gas concentration, lethal. Gravity fluctuating between 0.8 and 1.5 standard. Tae-sun's engineering mind kicked in. Panic wouldn't help. Thinking would. He looked around. The chamber had catwalks, machinery, pipes, vents, lots of vents. Some releasing the toxic gas, but others would be pulling air out. That's how ventilation worked. Find the exhaust vents, stay near them, get pushed away from the worst concentrations. He climbed a ladder to the catwalks. The gravity shifted mid-climb, and he almost fell. 1.5 standard meant he suddenly weighed half again as much. His arms burned with effort. Then the gravity dropped to 0.8, and he felt light. On the catwalk, he could see the layout better. 3 gas vents on the floor level, 2 exhaust fans in the ceiling. The heat was coming from thermal vents along the walls, probably rerouted from the refineries. His suit beeped again, temperature inside suit rising. 45 degrees. 50. 55. Think. He needed to reduce the heat. The suit had minimal cooling, but it wasn't enough. He needed shade. He needed distance from the heat sources. He needed water. Water. The chamber had fire suppression systems. Every industrial space did. If he could trigger them, the water spray would cool the air, cool his suit, maybe even dilute the toxic gases temporarily. But fire suppression needed a trigger. Heat sensors or manual activation. The manual controls would be in the walls, behind safety panels. He moved along the catwalk, watching the floor. The gravity shifted again. 1.5. His legs felt like lead. Keep moving. 0.8. Lighter. Faster. There, a red panel on the wall 20 feet ahead. He ran for it. The heat was incredible now. 60 degrees inside the suit. His skin felt like it was burning. He reached the panel and smashed it open. Inside was a manual lever. He pulled it. Nothing happened. Of course nothing happened. Vecthar's engineers had disabled it. They weren't stupid. But engineers always left bypass systems. Always. It was a safety law. Even if the manual control failed, there had to be another way. Tae-sun looked at the wiring behind the panel. His vision was getting blurry from the heat. 70 degrees inside the suit. He was cooking. Focus. Red wire, power. Blue wire, signal. Green wire, ground. If he crossed red and blue, he could create a false fire signal. The system might trigger anyway. He pulled the wires out. His gloves made it hard to work. The gravity shifted. 1.5. He felt crushed. His fingers fumbled. Come on. Come on. He twisted the red and blue wires together. Alarms sounded. Beautiful. Loud alarms. Then water exploded from nozzles in the ceiling. Cold, wonderful water. It hit him like rain. Steam filled the air. As it met the superheated surfaces, the temperature started dropping. 60 degrees. 50. 40. Tae-sun laughed. He couldn't help it. He was still in hell, but it was a cooler hell now. The water stopped after 2 minutes. The suppression system had limits, but the temperature stayed lower. 50 degrees inside the suit. He could handle that. Hours passed. He moved through the chamber, staying near exhaust vents. When the gravity went heavy, he rested. When it went light, he moved. He found other systems to manipulate. Shut down 2 of the 3 gas vents by blocking them with debris. Redirected an air current by moving panels. His engineering knowledge saved him over and over. This wasn't about being strong. It was about being smart. Understanding systems. Using the environment. At hour 5, his suit's air supply warning started beeping. He was running out of oxygen. He had 1 hour left to survive, but only 30 minutes of air. Tae-sun sat down on the catwalk. His body ached. His head pounded. He was exhausted. Think. There had to be a solution. There was always a solution. Engineers didn't believe in impossible, just in problems they hadn't solved yet. The chamber had an atmosphere. Toxic. Yes. But the suit had filters. If he could increase the filter efficiency, draw in outside air, and clean it fast enough, he could extend his air supply. But that would mean modifying the suit while wearing it in a toxic environment. If he made a mistake, he'd breathe poison and die in seconds. He looked at his wrist display. 25 minutes of air. No choice. He opened the suit's chest panel. Inside was the air processor, a small device that recycled his breath and mixed in oxygen from the tank. Simple design. Efficient. He pulled out the filter cartridge. It was already dark with contaminants. He shook it out. Then, he adjusted the intake valve to maximum. The suit would now pull in external air and push it through the filter at high speed. He resealed the panel and held his breath. The suit hissed. The air processor whined. Then, slowly, the oxygen readout stabilized. Not great, but stable. He could breathe. It tasted awful, and his throat burned, but he could breathe. At hour 6, the alarm sounded again. Different alarms. End of trial. The sealed door opened. Cool, clean air rushed in. Vekthar stood there, with his soldiers. Tae-sun stumbled forward, out of the chamber. He pulled off his helmet. His face was red and covered in sweat. His hands shook. But he was alive. He looked at Vekthar and smiled. 6 hours. I survived. The commander's mandibles clicked rapidly. Yes. You did. Impressive. Very impressive. My engineers said you would die within the first hour. You proved them wrong. I'm an engineer too, Tae-sun said. We're hard to kill. Rest today, Vekthar said. Tomorrow, the second trial. This one will test your mind, not your body. It will be different. And perhaps more difficult. You said one success means everyone goes free. I did say that. And I will honor it. After all 3 trials are complete, assuming you live that long, the station prisoners will be released. But you agreed to 3 trials. Tae-sun, we are not done yet. Tae-sun wanted to argue. But he was too tired. And technically, Vekthar was right. The deal was 3 trials. 1 success meant freedom. But he had to complete all 3. They took him back to his cell. He collapsed on the bed and was asleep in seconds. The second trial took place in a different part of the station, the command center. Vekthar led Tae-sun there personally, without restraints this time. Maybe a sign of respect. Maybe just confidence that the human had nowhere to run. The command center was full of holographic displays. Star maps. Ship positions. Battle simulations. A dozen Kryn officers worked at stations around the room. They all stopped to watch when Tae-sun entered. Your second trial is tactical, Vekthar announced. You will command a simulated fleet in battle against a Kryn armada. The scenario is based on a real battle that occurred 15 years ago. The defending force lost completely. 97% casualties. Total. Defeat. A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the room. Tae-sun saw the battlefield. His fleet was 12 small ships. The enemy was 40 ships. Bigger, better armed, better positioned. You have no chance of winning, Vekthar said flatly. That is not the point. The point is to see how you think. How you approach an impossible situation. You have 2 hours. Make your moves. Show me how humans fight when they are outmatched. Tae-sun studied the display. He walked around it, looking from every angle. The other officers watched him with their multiple eyes. Some seemed curious. Others seemed contemptuous. A human commanding a fleet? Ridiculous. The simulation started. The Kryn armada advanced in a perfect formation. Classic Empire tactics. Overwhelming force. Direct engagement. They didn't even bother with fancy maneuvers. Why would they? They had 4 times the ships. Tae-sun made his first move. He split his small fleet into 3 groups, 4 ships each. The Kryn officers murmured. Dividing his forces made him even weaker. But Tae-sun wasn't trying to win a direct fight. He couldn't. Instead, his groups moved to different positions. One went high above the battle plane. One went low. One went wide to the flank. The Kryn armada adjusted, splitting to chase all 3 groups. Good. That's what he wanted. The high group engaged first. Quick strikes, then retreat. They damaged 2 Kryn ships before running. The armada sent 10 ships after them. The ratio was still bad, but better than before. Meanwhile, the low group hit the enemy supply line. Every fleet needed support ships. Ammunition, fuel, medical supplies. Tae-sun's ships ignored the warships and targeted those vulnerable vessels. The Kryn commanders in the real room shifted uncomfortably. This was not how battles were supposed to work. The flank group did something even stranger. They ran away. Just turned and fled at maximum speed. 8 Kryn ships chased them. and chased them, and kept chasing them. Why are you running? One, Kryn officer asked. Because they're chasing, Tae-sun said simply. 2 hours passed. The simulation ended. Tae-sun had lost all 12 ships. The Kryn armada still had 31 ships remaining. By any measure, he lost. But the room was completely silent. Explain your tactics, Vekthar said quietly. Tae-sun pointed at the display. I couldn't win by fighting directly, so I didn't try. I made you split your forces to chase me. I targeted your supply ships, not your warships. In the simulation, I destroyed 7 support vessels. In a real battle, that means the armada is now low on fuel and ammunition. I led 8 of your ships on a chase that took them far from the battle space. They wasted fuel and time. And my hit-and-run attacks damaged 11 of your warships. Not destroyed, but damaged enough that they'd need repairs. You still lost, an officer said. All your ships are gone. Yes. But you lost too. Your armada is crippled, low on supplies, spread out across 3 sectors, with damaged ships. If there was a second wave of defenders, they could finish you off easily. I didn't win the battle, but I made sure you couldn't win the war. Vekthar's mandibles clicked slowly. Pyrrhic victory in reverse. You lose the battle, but make the enemy's victory meaningless. We call it guerrilla warfare, Tae-sun said. Hit and run. Attack weakness. Avoid strength. Make every victory cost more than it's worth. Humans have used these tactics for thousands of years. Against superior enemies. Against overwhelming odds. These tactics are dishonorable. An officer spat. A warrior faces their enemy directly. A warrior who always faces enemies directly doesn't live long enough to become a veteran. Tae-sun replied. Honor is great, but victory is better. And survival is best. The officer looked like he wanted to argue more, but Vekthar raised a hand. Enough. Tae-sun has completed the second trial. His tactics would not win in simulation, but in reality, they would be devastatingly effective. He turned to face Tae-sun directly. Your species is more dangerous than we calculated. This is why our battles against human forces have been so costly. You do not fight the way you should. We fight the way we need to. Vekthar dismissed the other officers. They left reluctantly, casting looks back at Tae-sun. When the room was empty, the commander's whole manner changed. He seemed less formal, more genuine. 2 trials done, 2 successes. Do you understand what this means? Station prisoners go free. And you give me information about Hana. Yes, but more than that, it means you have proven something. My warriors are muttering about you. My officers are questioning their tactics. One human, in 2 days, has made the Kryn Empire doubt itself. Tae-sun felt tired. I just want to find Hana. I just want this to be over. It is almost over. 1 more trial. Tomorrow. The 3rd trial. Testing my spirit. Whatever that means. 2. Vekthar was quiet for a moment. The 3rd trial is the hardest. It will not harm your body. It will not challenge your mind. It will break your will. Every warrior who has taken this trial has emerged changed. Some emerge stronger. Some emerge broken. I warn you now. Tae-sun, you can refuse. Accept your 2 victories. Take your information about Hana and go. But the prisoners wouldn't go free. No, I would keep them. Because our deal was 3 trials. Tae-sun thought about Bo-Ra, Sung-ho, the old mechanic who had always been kind to him. All the others. Could he abandon them? I'll take the 3rd trial, he said. I thought you would say that. Rest tonight. Tomorrow, we finish this. That night, something unexpected happened. The door to Tae-sun's cell opened. Not guards. Bo-Ra slipped inside. She looked terrified and determined at the same time. How did you get here? Tae-sun asked. I work in communications, remember? I know the guard schedules. I have 3 minutes before they notice. She pulled out a small device. I've been recording everything. Your trials. Vekthar's conversations with his officers. I've been broadcasting it on encrypted channels, to human resistance networks, to other prisoners on other stations. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to know. You're not just fighting for us anymore. Word is spreading. Other species are hearing about the human who wouldn't kneel. About the trials. Prisoners on 5 other stations have started refusing orders. Small things. But it's starting. You're giving people hope. Tae-sun felt the weight of that. Hope was good. But it was also responsibility. The 3rd trial tomorrow, Bora said. Vekthar's officers are talking about it. They call it the breaking. It's a neural interface. It shows you your worst fears and memories. Makes you experience them over and over until you beg for it to stop. No one passes. Everyone breaks. Good to know. You can't let it break you, Tae-sun. Too many people are watching now. Too many people believe in you. I'm not a hero, he said. I'm just stubborn. Sometimes that's the same thing. She moved to the door. Good luck tomorrow. All of us are counting on you. She slipped out. The door closed. Tae-sun lay on his bed. His body still ached from the first trial. His mind was tired from the second. And tomorrow, the 3rd trial would attack his spirit. He thought about Ji-won, his sister. About Hana. About all the people who had already died fighting the Kryn. About all the people who would die in the future. He didn't feel brave. He felt scared, and small, and very, very alone. But he also felt determined. If all he had was stubbornness, then stubbornness would have to be enough. The neural interface room was white. Completely white. Walls, floor, ceiling. In the center stood a chair with strange equipment attached. Wires, sensors, a helmet that looked like it was made of liquid metal. Vekthar was already there. So were his officers. And, surprisingly, the prisoners. All 200 of them, held back by guards but allowed to watch. Bo-Ra stood in front, Sung-ho beside her. Their faces showed fear and hope mixed together. The 3rd trial, Vekthar announced. The test of spirit. Tae-sun will enter the neural interface. It will access his memories, his fears, his regrets. It will show him the things he most wants to forget. And it will not stop until he speaks the words, I submit. That is all he has to do. Just say those 2 words. Then, the trial ends. And if I don't say them? Tae-sun asked. Then it continues until your mind cannot take any more. The interface has safety limits. It will stop before causing permanent damage. Probably. The technology is not designed for human neural patterns. There may be unexpected effects. Tae-sun looked at the chair. It looked like a torture device. Which, he supposed, it was. What happens while I'm in there? How will you know if I submit? Your voice will be broadcast to all of us. We will hear everything you say. Every scream. Every plea. Every word. So it was a public breaking. Not just making him submit, but making everyone watch it happen. That was the real trial. Not just breaking him, but breaking the hope he represented. If I pass this trial, all 3 trials complete. Yes, if you pass, I will personally assist you. Though I do not believe you will pass. No one has. Tae-sun walked to the chair. His legs felt heavy. Not from gravity this time. From fear. He sat down. Technicians moved around him, attaching sensors to his head, his chest, his arms. The liquid metal helmet flowed over his skull. It was cold, then warm, then it felt like nothing at all. Beginning interface, a technician said. The white room disappeared. Tae-sun stood on the bridge of a Defense Force ship. He recognized it immediately. The Vanguard. His sister, Ji-won's ship. The one she died on. No, he whispered. Not this. Ji-won stood at the command console. She looked exactly as he remembered. Strong. Confident. Alive. She turned to him and smiled. Little brother, you came to visit. This isn't real. You're dead. This is just the interface. Does it matter? Ji-won asked. I'm here now. We're together again. The ship shuddered. Alarms sounded. A Kryn attack wing appeared on the view screen. 6 ships against 1. We can't win this, Tae-sun said. He knew how this ended. He had read the battle reports, watched the recovered footage. His sister died in this battle. We never can, Ji-won said calmly. But we fight anyway. That's what we do. The battle began. Tae-sun watched helplessly as the ship was torn apart. Piece by piece. Section by section. He heard the crew screaming. Saw the hull breach. Watched as Ji-won stayed at her post, still giving orders even as fire consumed the bridge. You could have run, Tae-sun shouted at her. You could have evacuated and abandoned my crew? My duty? Ji-won looked at him. Her uniform was burning, but she didn't seem to notice. You know I couldn't do that. Just like you couldn't kneel. We're the same, you and I. Too stubborn to survive. The ship exploded. Everything went white. Then Tae-sun was somewhere else. A transport ship. The Bright Star. 2 months ago. He watched himself saying goodbye to Hana. She was leaving for a supply run. Just a routine trip. She smiled and kissed him. I'll be back in a week, she promised. Then we'll talk about that vacation we've been planning. I'll hold you to that, he told her. Then the Kryn attack ships appeared. They boarded the Bright Star. Tae-sun watched helplessly as Hana fought back with the others. Watched as they were overwhelmed. Watched as she was dragged away, screaming his name. You weren't there, a voice said. His own voice. He turned and saw himself. Another version of himself. This one looked angry, accusing. You weren't there to protect her. You let them take her. I didn't know they would attack. You should have been there. You should have saved her. The scene changed again. And again. And again. Every regret. Every failure. Every moment of pain in his life played out before him. His parents dying in a shuttle accident. When he was 12. Friends lost to accidents, disease, violence. Every time he had been too scared to act. Every time he had failed someone. The interface made him live through all of it. Over and over. Each memory worse than the last. And through it all, a voice kept whispering. Just submit. Just say the words. End the pain. It's so easy. Just 2 words. In the White Room, the prisoners watched in horror. Tae-sun's body convulsed in the chair. He was screaming. Words tumbled out of him. Names. Please. But not the words. I submit. How long has it been? Bora asked. 43 minutes. A Kryn technician said. The average subject breaks in 20 minutes, Vekthar said quietly. The longest anyone has lasted is 51 minutes. A Kryn war hero. Decorated for valor. Even he broke. Tae-sun won't break, Bora said with more confidence than she felt. In the interface, Tae-sun was drowning in memories and fear. He couldn't tell what was real anymore. Was he on Horizon 7? Was he on the Vanguard? Was Hana alive or dead? Then something changed. A new memory appeared. Not a regret, not a failure. A good memory. He was 7 years old. His father was teaching him to fix a broken engine. An old ground car. Ancient technology. But the principles were the same. His father's hands guided his own. When something's broken, his father said, you don't give up on it. You figure out how it works. You understand it. Then, You fix it. That's what engineers do. We solve problems. What if the problem is too big? Young Tae-sun asked. Then you break it into smaller problems. And you keep working. You never give up. Because giving up means the problem wins. And we don't let problems win. The memory faded, but the lesson remained. Tae-sun held on to it. He remembered why he was here. Not to avoid pain. Pain was inevitable. He was here because 200 people needed him to stand firm. Because Hana needed him to find her. Because his sister had died standing up, and he owed it to her memory to do the same. The interface threw more horrors at him. But he stopped fighting them. Stopped trying to avoid the pain. Instead, he accepted it. Yes, G1 died. Yes, Hana was taken. Yes, he had failed and would fail again. But none of that changed who he was. None of that meant he should kneel. I submit, the voice whispered. Say it. No. Tae-sun said out loud. His voice was hoarse but clear. I don't submit. I don't surrender. I don't kneel. You can show me every fear, every failure, every moment of pain in my existence. My answer doesn't change. No. In the White Room, the monitors showed his neural patterns stabilizing. The technicians looked confused. He is adapting, one of them said. The interface is losing effectiveness. How? Vector demanded. Unknown. His fear response is still active, but he is not trying to escape it. He is accepting it. The interface is designed to break subjects through fear. But he is not breaking. 90 minutes. 100. 120. The technicians finally shut down the interface. Not because Tae-sun had submitted. Because the system was overheating from the extended session. The helmet retracted. Tae-sun slumped in the chair. His face was wet with tears. His hands shook uncontrollably. But when Vector approached, he looked up and met his eyes. I didn't submit, Tae-sun said. His voice was barely a whisper, but everyone heard it in the silent room. No, Vector agreed. The commander turned to his officers. 3 trials. 3 successes. I have never seen anything like this. Perhaps this is why humanity is so dangerous. They do not break the way other species break. He turned back to Tae-sun. By the terms of our agreement, all prisoners are free to go, and I will help you find Hana. But first, you need rest. You have earned it. The guards released the prisoners. They crowded around Tae-sun, careful not to touch him, knowing he was fragile right now. Bo-Ra had tears running down her face. Sung-ho just nodded with deep respect. You did it, Bo-Ra said. You actually did it. Tae-sun couldn't respond. He was too exhausted, too emotionally drained. They helped him to his feet and supported him as they walked. Over the next 3 days, everything changed. Vector provided Tae-sun with the information he had promised. Hana was alive. She was being held at a detention facility called Cold Harbor, 17 light-years away. Vector gave him coordinates, access codes, guard schedules, everything needed for a rescue. But he gave more than that. He gave intelligence about Kryn fleet movements, weaknesses in their supply chains, information about dissent among their officers. Some commanders, Vector included, were tired of endless conquest. They saw the empire stretching too thin. They saw the rebellions growing. Your trials were broadcast. Vector told Tae-sun on his last day on Horizon 7. Not just by your friend Bo-Ra. My own officers have been sharing the recordings. Across the empire, subject species are watching, seeing a human refuse to kneel, seeing him survive trials designed to break warriors. It is causing problems. Inexpective Sint 2-3, with 2%ed by their 2. With 2%ed by their 2. Across the empire. Across the Empire. What kind of problems? On 14 worlds, prisoners have refused to kneel during submission ceremonies. On 6 stations, workers have stopped following orders they deem unjust. It is small now, but it is spreading. You have become a symbol, Tae-sun. Not just to humans, to everyone the Empire has conquered. I didn't mean to start a revolution. I just wanted to stand up. That is how all revolutions start. One person standing when they should kneel. Vekthar arranged transport for Tae-sun and a small team to Cold Harbor. Bo-ra and Sung-ho volunteered to go with him. Using the access codes, they infiltrated the facility. It was dangerous, but not impossible. They freed Hana and 37 other prisoners. The reunion between Tae-sun and Hana was everything he had hoped for. She was thin and bruised, but alive. Strong. Unbroken. You came for me, she whispered, holding him tight. Always, he promised. They made it back to human space. Tae-sun was called a hero. Military intelligence wanted to debrief him. Politicians wanted to meet him. But he declined most of it. He wasn't interested in fame. I mean, why did him sign ground? And anyone, he had done what he needed to do. Nothing more. 6 months later, word reached human space that the Kryn Empire was fracturing. Vekthar had led a group of officers in open rebellion against the High Command. They were not fighting for humanity. They were fighting for reform, for an end to endless conquest, for a different kind of empire. Multiple subject species had risen in rebellion. The Kryn military was stretched thinner than ever, fighting on dozens of fronts. Tae-sun read the reports from the small apartment he shared with Hana. They had chosen a quiet colony world. Far from the fighting, he was back to being an engineer, fixing water recyclers, living a simple life. Do you think we'll win? Hana asked. Against the Empire? Eventually, Tae-sun said. Not because we're stronger, but because empires like that always fall. They forget that you can't build anything lasting on force alone. You need people to choose to follow you, not kneel because they're scared. You changed the galaxy by refusing to kneel. I changed one moment. The galaxy changed itself. It was already ready. It just needed someone to go first. On Horizon 7, now free and rebuilding, a memorial was erected where the cargo bay confrontation had happened. It showed a simple figure standing while shadows knelt around them. The inscription was in 20 languages. It said, "They ordered us to kneel. We chose to stand. And standing, we were free." Years later, when historians studied the fall of the Kryn Empire, they would point to many factors: economic strain, military overextension, internal dissent. But they all agreed on one thing. The beginning of the end was a moment in a cargo bay when one human engineer decided that no one, no matter how powerful, would ever make him kneel. His name was Tae-sun, and he changed everything by doing nothing more than standing up.